The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the Dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for this day.
This is the Michael K. Show podcast.
I gotta get more K.
Listen live weekdays at 1 on 880 ESPN, the ESPN New York app, and your smart speaker.
And a good afternoon, everybody. This is indeed the Michael K. Show. We thank you for joining us on this January 20th, 2025, a chilly week starting here in New York City. Now, we will be on with you for an hour and a half today, not our usual 2 hours, so be prepared for 1.5 hour fewer than you usually get, but we'll make the most of the hour and a half. We've got Damien Woody coming on at 1:30. We'll be talking a lot about what happened over the weekend with the football and the upcoming Ohio State-Notre Dame National Championship game, which is going to be right here on 880 ESPN. Hope you had a good weekend, everybody. And we get started. We get started with the Final Four. We now have the Final Four, and this is the way it breaks down. It's going to be the Eagles and the Commanders for the NFC Championship, and the Chiefs and the Bills for the AFC Championship. The Eagles beat the Rams. The Rams came down right to the very, very end, couldn't get the ball in the end zone. Otherwise, they would have been able to win the game, but they did not. And the Eagles hold on a snowy day in Philadelphia. Saquon Barkley was the guy again. And I know what we always say, and I think it's true. If the Giants kept Saquon Barkley this year, they still would have been a bad team. They still wouldn't have made the playoffs. They probably would be better than they were, but they still would have been a bad team. But you let him get away to a division rival, and that division rival has ridden Saquon Barkley all the way to the NFC Championship game. And he's been the reason why. Because Jalen Hurts certainly has limitations, hurt his knee early in the game yesterday, and Saquon Barkley took over and ran the Eagles to the NFC Championship game. Joe Shane will have to wear this for the rest of his life. No other way to put it. He's going to wear it for the rest of his life. You cannot tell me that $26 million guaranteed over 3 years was simply undoable for the Giants salary cap-wise. Because that'd be a lie. It'd be a lie. Teams that know how to maneuver the salary cap are the good teams in this league. And I'm not saying that he doesn't know how. He just didn't want Saquon Barkley. He didn't. He didn't. Strangely, the smartest Shane in the room is Carson Shane, his son. Because if you remember, during Hard Knocks, Carson Shane was lying on the couch in his dad's office and said, whatever you do, just trade up to get Jaden Daniels. The kid knew that Jaden Daniels was going to be the right guy. Now, the Giants did try to trade up. It looked like they were trading up for Drake May, not for Jaden Daniels. And one quick aside to all the Giant fans out there. Those 3 exciting wins in the previous season that you got behind DeVito, worth it? Was worth it. So you got the 6th pick in the draft, which ended up being Malik Neighbors. He's an excellent player. But wide receivers are not going to move the needle unless they have a quarterback to throw the ball to them. And the Giants didn't have that. So those 3 exciting wins by Tommy DeVito dropped you out of the top 3 where you could have gotten one of the quarterbacks. Anyway, I digress. Commanders are a great story. I mean, they fooled me. I made fun of Peter when he said they were going to make the playoffs at the beginning of the year. So I have to stand back and say, boy, I was wrong. Dan Quinn installed a concept and installed a feeling in that room, a camaraderie. But most importantly, they got Jaden Daniels with the number 2 pick in the draft. And that made all the difference in the world. Because of the 3 quarterbacks picked, it looks like he's the best one. Caleb Williams struggled with the Bears. Drake May looks like he's a keeper, but he struggled because he's with a bad team, the Patriots. Maybe things change with Vrabel. But that number 2 pick, Jaden Daniels, and I give our colleague Dan Orlovsky a lot of credit too. He said before the draft, the Bears should take Jaden Daniels, not Caleb Williams. Turns out he was right. Now they don't give up on Caleb Williams just yet, but boy, Jaden Daniels stepped in as a rookie and taken his team to the NFC Championship game. So there you have it, the Eagles and the Commanders. Now let's go to the AFC. Bills and the Ravens, a great game. Lamar Jackson might win the MVP. Could be Josh Allen. Looks like it's leaning toward Lamar, not quite sure. And Lamar had a really bad first half. And that cost him. Threw an interception, fumbled the ball. Had a really good second half, so it's hard to say he doesn't play well. And he had tied the game essentially, but Mark Andrews dropped the 2-point conversion. Otherwise, they might go into overtime, but I still don't put it past the Bills. There was plenty of time left where the Bills could have driven down the field and kicked a field goal and won. So I'm not saying that lost them the game, but it lost them the chance to force overtime, that's for sure. But Lamar Jackson, as good as you can be during the regular season, but he has struggled in the postseason. He just has. Now, Josh Allen didn't have a great game. The running game was outstanding, and Josh Allen makes plays when he has to. He makes plays when he has to. So they have one more demon to conquer, and that demon happens to be the Kansas City Chiefs. And boy, it's getting a little tiring. The Kansas City Chiefs are 16-2. But all we hear is how they get all the calls, and everybody protects Mahomes. Let me let you in on a little secret. It's always been like that. You didn't think Michael Jordan was protected? The great players are protected. Greatness gets you calls. Greatness gets you the benefit of the doubt. And that team and that organization, that quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, is legitimately great. 7 straight appearances in the AFC Championship game. 7 straight. Mind-boggling. Absolutely mind-boggling. Mahomes made a play, a throw, as he's falling down forward to Travis Kelce. I thought it changed the whole specter of the game. The whole specter of the game. And I know that the Texans were victimized by bad calls. I get it. I get it. But when you're a team that is playing the team, you have to play a mistake-free game. You stay out of harm's way. You don't go near the quarterback. There were some terrible calls protecting Mahomes. But, just the thought that people are saying, well, the officials are in the bag for Mahomes. Just stop it. Really? Something like that. I mean, where their fingerprints all over something like that. I love conspiracy theories. You really think that the NFL wants Patrick Mahomes there? Of course they do. Are they going to tell the officials to call the game in favor of Patrick Mahomes? No. Patrick Mahomes gets protected because he's the greatest quarterback in the land. He does things other quarterbacks can only dream of. I will tell you something that struck me, though. And a lot of it has to do with Mahomes. Quarterback sliding once they run. Yeah, stop. Once you become a runner, you know what? You're not a quarterback anymore. And you shouldn't have the option of sliding down so you can't be touched. Because what the quarterbacks do is they use that as a weapon. They make believe they're going to slide, then they get another couple of extra yards, and then when the defense is closing in, they slide at the last minute, and the defense was looking to tackle the guy in the stomach, and all of a sudden the area of the stomach is now the head because the guy went into a late slide. If I was the king of the NFL, that would stop. I'm not saying to abuse quarterbacks. I'm not. Troy Aikman, just the tone in his voice when they called something against Mahomes. Oh, that wasn't a roughing the. You got to stop. I understand that quarterbacks are the most important players in the league, but you can't protect them at the cost of the integrity of the game. Once you cross the line of scrimmage, you got to take away the slide. Because the quarterbacks are too smart, and they use the slide to their advantage. They'll make believe they're going to slide when they're at the sidelines and chug up for 4 or 5 more yards. And the defense has to stop and not touch them because they don't want to get a personal foul. It's not fair. It is not fair the way the league is allowing this to happen. Behind the line of scrimmage, let the quarterback be protected at all costs. I get it. Once they cross the line of scrimmage and they become a runner, they're like Saquon Barkley. You run at your own risk. You want to get hit, you get hit. You want to take the ball and run with it, you are going to be susceptible to getting hit. That's something the NFL has to clean up. They have to. It's awful. It's an awful, awful thing. Ruins the game. Ruins the game. All right, the whole weekend. What surprised me the most? The Lions. Now, I ended up going 2-1-1 because when I made the pick of the Eagles, I only had to give 6. Now, the afternoon guys, when they made their pick, it got to 6.5. But my one tie was the Chiefs taking that safety, which stunk because that ended up being taking a win away. But 2-1-1 after my 2-4, not too bad. And we go into the conference finals next weekend. But the Lions surprised me. I picked them. I gave the points. I thought the Commanders, their pixie dust had run out. It's too much. It was too much for the Lions. What a home field advantage. The place was deafening. It was so deafening you could not hear Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady. I don't know if the mix was off or if the crowd was just so loud that they could not do anything about it. Phenomenal how the Commanders play. And the poise that Jaden Daniels plays with. Amazing. That team believes. That team has a chance against the Eagles. The game is going to be at the Link, but Jalen Hurts does not look great. It's been the Saquon Barkley show. But I thought the Lions would play better than that. And it was the defense, it wasn't the offense, although the offense turned the ball over. In these games, you can't turn the ball over. You just can't. You can't give the other team, which is a good team, the opportunity and the respite from having to defend you. It's brutal. I thought the Lions would be better. You know what I thought was going to get the Lions on their road to the Super Bowl? The constant going for it on fourth down, no matter what the situation was. But that wasn't what got them. I think all the injuries on their defense finally got them. I hope it doesn't take any of the luster away from Aaron Glenn, their defensive coordinator, because what he did with a team that had so many important injuries to the defense, and it finally just fell apart. But Aaron Glenn, by the way, going in for a second interview, his first in-person interview with the Jets, he's the first of the head coaching candidates that the Jets have interviewed that will get, as far as we know, a second interview. I'd say he's the favorite to get that job. We'll see. He's also going to interview with the Saints. We'll see which one he wants. 1-800-919-3776. And also the constant going for it on fourth down. I thought that what McDermott did at the end of the game was the only right move to make. Because I think we live in a society of football now where if it's fourth down, you go for it no matter what. So on third down, and they're at the 2, I think they lose like maybe a yard and a quarter. And all of a sudden, it's not an easy 4th and goal. I thought McDermott made the right move, kicking the field goal and making it an 8-point lead. Imagine if he goes for it and doesn't get it. Now, those are going to say, well, if he went for it and got it, then the drive by the Ravens wouldn't have meant anything. That's true. But you have to weigh against the possibility of getting 3.5 yards on that run or getting nothing. So McDermott said, I'm not going to risk getting the 3.5 yards. I'm going to make it that the worst we could do is be tied. And it shows you that that was the right move to make. I don't think that Dan Campbell would have done that. I think Dan Campbell would have gone for it to try to get it done, to try to end the game right there. But that was not the right move. The right move was to kick the field goal and force them to score and get a 2-point conversion in order to tie the game. And they did score. And they didn't get the 2-point conversion, proving kick the extra point throughout the weekend. Guys just left field goals on the board that made the games tighter than they should have been. I know it's de rigueur now. Got to go for the fourth down. Must go for the fourth down. That's the only thing to do is go for the fourth down. No, I don't know. Rich Cimini, by the way, just reported that Aaron Glenn's Jets interview will be tomorrow. And the Saints interview will follow after them. So Cimini reporting that the interview will be tomorrow, not today. So a very interesting, entertaining weekend of football. 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. 1-800-919-3776, all leading to the big game. Now, it's Superbox Bonanza 6 right here on 880 ESPN, and your chance to get your box for the big game with a prize pool of $2,000. All qualifiers will get an ESPN prize pack and a chance at one of 10 Superbox prizes. Now, listen daily beginning tomorrow through February 6th to DiPietro and Rothenberg, Bart and Carlin, The Michael K. Show, and Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg. This year's big payouts are $250 in the first and third quarters, $500 at halftime, and a final score payout of $1,000. It's all brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey and Sloman Security. For full contest details, go to superboxbonanza.com. Let's take some phone calls now. 1-800-919-3776. You know the rules. You are the co-host of the show. I know it's the Michael K. Show. I know Don and Peter are in the afternoon with Alan on. That turns you into the co-host of the show. Now, if you don't assume that and you don't want that, then that's fine. But I'm giving you the opportunity to be the co-host on the show every single day. 1-800-919-3776. Call right now. Damien Woody is going to join us at 1:30, and we go to Rashad in the Bronx to start off. Rashad.
Hey, good afternoon, Mike.
How you doing, man?
All right, so I'm doing good. How's everything?
Great.
All right, so before I get to my point, I did have a better week with picks. I went 2-2. The Lions screwed me over. They should have covered.
They didn't even win. Forget about covering.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was just a disaster completely. But I agree with you 100%. The quarterback is way too protected. See, people complain about Tom Brady being overprotected, but here's what Tom Brady did. He always stayed in the pocket. He stayed in the pocket 99% of the time. Mahomes is not in the pocket 99% of the time. He runs. He goes outside the pocket. Once you go outside the pocket, you're fair game. You should not be protected anymore.
Well, what I would say is once you cross the line of scrimmage, you shouldn't be protected. Once you become a runner, you shouldn't be protected. And for those that think that Tom Brady lasted till 45 because she couldn't be touched, well, maybe in the last couple of years because the rules have changed. But there was a clip of hits on Tom Brady over the years. I mean, he almost got decapitated so many different times. Almost got decapitated. So he wasn't protected like these guys. The slide is the thing that puts the defense at a disadvantage because you're going to launch yourself to make the tackle at a guy's waist, and all of a sudden the waist becomes the head because the guy wanted to do a slide at the last moment. Shouldn't be allowed. Shouldn't be allowed. It's almost like you're deking the defense into committing a penalty. It's awful. Awful. Let's go to Mike in Armonk. Mike.
Hey, Michael, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Mike?
Good. So the thing, you're absolutely right when it comes to the quarterback. And the most egregious thing that happened, I don't know if you saw it, but Mahomes was running out of bounds, and he let up because he's trying to draw a penalty.
Yep.
So we're literally taking the sport that America loves, has become America's pastime, and we're putting things that we hate. We hate flopping in soccer, flopping in basketball. It makes the sports unwatchable, and now we're going to let it in to the sanctity of the NFL. It's ridiculous. You have the guys intentionally trying to do it. They got to get rid of it. I
think you just articulated it in such a great way. It's essentially the quarterback's flopping. And I love Mahomes. I'm not one of these people that don't like Mahomes. And I've said this before. I love watching greatness. And he's one of the greatest quarterbacks that we'll ever see. But he's better than that. He's better than the flopping, looking for the calls all the time. He's better than that. And also, they should actually institute a penalty. They should institute a penalty that if they think you're flopping, they have that in the NBA, then the penalty's on you. So if you want to flop at your own risk. If the official thinks that you're flopping, they're going to throw a flag on you. And Mahomes does that a lot. He's weaponizing the protection of the quarterback into more penalties. And he gets away with it. And the reason he gets away with it is because he's earned it through all the greatness that he's exhibited. But he's so great he doesn't need that. It cheapens his greatness when he does stuff like that. He's better than that. Willie in the truck. Willie.
What's going on, Michael? Billy,
doing, Willie?
actually, but doing good. I don't think Lamar Jackson should get the MVP at all.
How come?
I know it only goes off a regular season, but I just don't believe that if they put it up after the postseason and all that.
Yeah, but
hold on, my boss is talking to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, okay, bye. But they don't. It ends after the 17th game. So what he did yesterday has no impact whatsoever on the MVP award. What he does in the postseason has no impact whatsoever. And that's the way it is in all the sports. They have a separate MVP for the postseason. They have an MVP for the Super Bowl. So what he did yesterday doesn't mean anything. And also, to disparage Lamar Jackson because of yesterday, yes, he had a rough first half. But I thought he stepped up great in the second half. What was he, 12 for 15? He led that drive at the end, do-or-die season on the line. He led them into the end zone and made a pass that Mark Andrews catches 9,999 times out of 10,000. He didn't catch it. You're going to blame that on Lamar Jackson? So if he caught it, would we be saying that now? Let's go to Carlisle and Lynbrook. Carlisle.
Yes. Hello, Michael. Happy New Year. I'm calling about the New York Yankees. What's taking them so long to get that talent? Were we going to let the Dodgers, swoop in there to get a repeat of the World Series?
Dragging their feet. What are you talking about? They signed Max Fried. They got Bellinger. They got Devin Williams.
True. But then why tell Meredith that there's more to come?
Well, there's probably one more thing to come, but you're saying they're dragging – listen, they're not competing with the Dodgers. They're competing with the Dodgers in October. That's ridiculous what you just said. So the Yankees had done nothing early, okay, Carlisle? They had done nothing early whatsoever. And then yesterday, they traded for Bellinger. They traded for Devin Williams. And they signed Max Fried. You'd be okay with that, right? Then you wouldn't say they're dragging their feet. They did their job early. They put all of their emphasis on getting Soto. Soto ends up going to the Mets, and they pivoted, and they did a good job. They did a great job. They got Goldschmidt. They got Bellinger. They got Williams. They got Fried. They are clearly the best team in the American League. What you just said makes no sense whatsoever. The Dodgers are on a different plane than everybody else. You want to know who should be concerned about the Dodgers? The Padres, the Giants, the Diamondbacks, the Phillies, the Mets, and the Braves. They should be concerned about the Dodgers. They've got to get through the Dodgers to get to the World Series. All the Yankees have to do, get to the World Series and take their chance in a best-of-7 against the Dodgers. Hey, Yankee fans, I've told you this before. You better pipe down about how it's unfair that the Dodgers are getting all the good players, because that was you 20 years ago, and you have a problem with it then. You didn't have a problem with it then. A lot of it has to do with geography. Players want to be on the West Coast. They like the weather. Can't do anything about the geography. Sorry, you can't. And I personally think the whole Suzuki thing, it was the Dodgers all the way. Everything else was absolute theater to get everybody off the scent that there was a prearranged deal. He was going to the Dodgers from the very, very beginning. And since we got waylaid on the baseball, the Blue Jays finally made a signing today. They signed Anthony Santander for 5 years plus an option, a deal worth about $90 million. So they get him for $18 million a year, a guy who hit 44 home runs. That's not that awful. Now, he's not the perfect player, but at least they finally get somebody after everybody turned down their money. So there you have it. Ohio State Notre Dame tonight for the national championship. It'll be on the ESPN family of stations, and also you can listen to it right here on 880 ESPN. Now, coming up, Damien Woody. We'll talk to him about the Final Four in the NFL. Who's going to the Super Bowl in New Orleans? Damien, part of our team, will join us in just a moment right here on 880 ESPN.
There's one thing that will forever change the way you sleep, and it's the softest 100% organic cotton sheets from Boll & Branch. You'll fall asleep faster, wrapped in the most luxurious comfort. You'll never sleep hot again with sheets that feel breathable to sleep in. You'll experience the purest softness on night one and feel your sheets get even softer with every wash. Discover the difference with 15% off your first set of sheets at bowlandbranch.com with code SPORTS15. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
So it's a new year, 2025, and you're thinking, how am I going to make this year different? How am I going to build something for myself? The best time to start your new business is right now, and Shopify is how you're going to make it happen. Shopify makes it simple to create your brand, open for business, and get your first sale. Get your store up and running easily with thousands of customizable templates. No coding or design skills required. All you need to do is drag and drop. Their powerful social media tools let you connect all your channels and create shoppable posts and help you sell everywhere people scroll. Shopify makes it easy to manage your growing business. They help with the details like shipping, taxes, and payments from one single dashboard, allowing you to focus on the important stuff, like growing your business. What happens if you don't act now? Will you regret it? What if someone beats you to the idea? Don't kick yourself when you hear this again in a year because you didn't do anything now. With Shopify, your first sale is closer than you think. Established in 2025 has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/network, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/network to start selling with Shopify today. Shopify.com/network.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Thanks for listening to the Michael K. Show podcast.
He's been here a long time, and he's going to be here even longer.
Catch the show on demand whenever you want. Just subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to the Michael K. Show, everybody. We're on until 2:30 today. At that time, it's a Knick pregame show. And then the Knicks against the Hawks in the annual Martin Luther King Day game at Madison Square Garden. Knicks against the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks have beaten the Knicks twice this year. The last time the Hawks played the Knicks, that was for the right to go to the NBA Cup in Vegas. That was the time that Trae Young made the shooting dice maneuver on half court of Madison Square Garden. We're waiting on Damien Woody as we do. We'll take some of your phone calls, 1-800-919-3776. Jason in West Orange. Jason.
Hey, Michael, how are you?
Good, Jason. What's up?
Good. First, I just want to take a moment to thank you for all the years with you and Don and Peter. I've been a long-time listener, and I'm actually sitting here with my 12-year-old son who started listening a couple of years ago, and I've been happy to kind of pass it along. So I just wanted you to know you're a big part of our family. You got it. So I actually wanted to know, and I heard you talking about Sasaki, and I guess, and I heard you talking kind of, last week about whether or not this whole thing is just a show, almost, Bachelor style, what a bunch of nonsense it's been. I think it's kind of funny, when his agent, I think Wolf got up, a couple months ago and said, oh, he might be looking for a smaller town, a quiet place. And there was all this talk about he wants to go somewhere where they could develop pitching. Obviously, we know LA is not a quiet place. And if you look at the Dodgers track record, let's say compared to even the Yankees, who, you look at Heel. Yeah, they would. Dustin May, he said, like three Tommy John surgeries, and Miller and all of them. So, it almost feels like, it's a sham. And I hear what you're saying. 20 years ago, look, I remember when the Yankees were signing everyone and, loved it. I think the difference is the Yankees were basically blowing everyone out of the water with the money. This is something a little different. Like, when they didn't get Dice K years ago, it's because the Red Sox came in and blew the Yankees out of the water. And here, it's a little bit different where it's almost predetermined. It feels that the Dodgers have created this team where every Japanese stud that's going to come over is going to end up there. And I'm just wondering if you think if MLB is going to step in. I know, international draft is hard, especially with these guys who've played a number of years like Yamamoto. The Mets, everyone said that Steve Cohen would have blown the Dodgers
Jason,
out of the water.
I don't think there's anything that you could do to legislate against the Japanese players wanting to play on the West Coast and play for the Dodgers. What you could legislate against is that you turn it into an international draft where everybody has a fair shot at the great Japanese players that make themselves available. Right now, it looks like it's a pipeline straight to L.A. We'll talk more about this as the week goes on, but want to continue on football with a big football Monday and bring in our good friend Damien Woody. Damien joins us now. Hey, Damien, Michael K here. How you doing?
I'm well. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Of all the games this weekend, which one surprised you the most?
I mean, listen, I think you would have to say the Commanders. And listen, this is not any type of slight, to the Commanders and the season that they're having and all that. But we're talking about this Commanders team and Jaden Daniels going on the road in Detroit, one of the hardest environments to play in, to be honest with you, against a team that won 15 games this season. And Jaden Daniels was just spectacular. He was absolutely spectacular. I know people would talk about, Detroit has all these injuries on the defense. Yeah, that was the same Detroit team that beat the Minnesota Vikings who won 14 games as well.
Yep.
And so, listen, man, the Jaden Daniels, I said on Get Up this morning, by the way, that Jaden Daniels is playing the best of any quarterback that remains in the playoffs right now. Not that he's the best quarterback, but he's playing the best of any quarterback that's remaining in the playoffs right now. The young man has been sensational, and this Commanders team is one game away from playing in the Super Bowl. Think about that, Michael.
Unbelievable.
I mean, think about where this Commanders organization has come in the short period of time. They've gone from a joke to being one game away from playing in the Super Bowl. I think it's phenomenal.
Let's talk about the Chiefs a little bit. It's amazing, Damien. I mean, they've got 2 losses, and all year it's like they don't really impress you, but I think there's an art to knowing how to win. And also, I think they get the respect and the calls because they are yearly winners. Mahomes is doing just enough to win. Travis Kelce, regained his youth yesterday. Do you think this team has enough to beat the Bills?
Yes, absolutely. I've experienced this when I play with the Patriots. Bill Belichick used to tell us more teams find ways to lose games than win them. And it's true. Look at the playoffs right now. If you look at look at the playoffs. Teams are 7-0 when they win the turnover battle. Think about that. That's called winning football. And that's all the Chiefs have done throughout the season. Every week it seemed like we've saying, well, what's wrong with the Chiefs? The Chiefs, they look mediocre. They look average. But somehow, some way, they make game-winning plays. They find a way to make the right plays. And that, to me, is what it's all about. It's not about style points. It's about finding a way to win football games and make game-winning plays. And Patrick Mahomes and that defense and Travis Kelce, somehow, some way, when they get to the fourth quarter, they make the game-winning plays. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Is it sacrilege? Is it NFL sacrilege? And is it too early to say you can legitimately put Mahomes in the same sentence as Tom Brady?
Oh, you absolutely can. Listen, Patrick Mahomes is a first ballot. If Patrick Mahomes' career ended right now, he's first ballot Hall of Famer, and he's in a rare room with, up there with Tom Brady. That's absolutely fact. Now, Tom Brady's career is more heralded. He is the GOAT, but Patrick Mahomes is in the same area code.
Amazing.
I don't think, like, you talk to anyone out there, I don't think that's anything crazy that, that would be said. Patrick Mahomes, right now, you would have to say is like the most gifted quarterback that we've ever seen, and he's well on his way to becoming the most accomplished quarterback that we've seen in this game.
Let's move over to the Bills and the Ravens. I think people are jumping on Lamar Jackson not winning a big game, but I thought he played great in the second half, and when he had to, he led his team to what should have been a game-tying touchdown. But, the 2-point conversion was dropped by Andrews. What's your take on Lamar? Do you think he took a step back yesterday because they didn't win?
I think this, Michael. I think both things can be true. Lamar Jackson was the best player on that field, but Lamar Jackson didn't make enough game-winning plays in order to help his team advance. Both things can be true. Okay? He had 2 turnovers in the game, right? He had the interception and he had the fumble. The fumble in particular led to Buffalo's, I believe, scoring a touchdown. That's what you call doing too much at that point in time. He's so spectacular. He wants to make, the spectacular play. Sometimes it's better to just say, you know what, let me eat it and live to fight another day. But in the second half of that game, Michael, he was the best player in the game.
Yep.
He was the best player. He brought his team all the way back. And if Mark Andrews catches the 2-point conversion, okay, the game is tied. We're going to overtime. And who I hear thinks that Baltimore wouldn't have won that game in overtime yesterday. And so Lamar Jackson, to me, was the best player on the field, but he didn't make enough game-winning plays in order to advance the Baltimore Ravens. And that's 2 years in a row now. Think about it. That's 2 years in a row that I think most people would say the Baltimore Ravens were the best team in the AFC, but they've come up short. And that's something that they have to reckon with as an organization.
Now let's head finally to the last of the Final Four. That's the Eagles. They hold off the Rams at the end. Rams driving, and they couldn't get it done. Jalen Hurts, now he was actually hurt yesterday, hurt his knee when he got sacked that one time, stayed in the game. But I think right now it's the Saquon show. Do you think the Eagles have enough to beat the Commanders at this point with Jalen Hurts playing the way he's playing?
They do. I mean, because Saquon is so special. That offense, listen, let me tell you something. Between Saquon Barkley and that Philadelphia Eagles offensive line is truly a weapon. That combination is going to be hard for any team to stop, and then combine that with the way the Philadelphia Eagles play defense. But Jaden Daniels is on a heater right now. The way he's been playing flawless football. Man, he had no turnovers, and that's really the key, Michael. The theme in the playoffs right now is taking care of the football. When you take care of the football, good things happen to you. Okay, Jaden Daniels is taking care of the football, and he's making plays both with his arm and with his legs. And so, listen, this Commanders team is up. It's going to be a big challenge going into the link and beating that Philadelphia Eagles team. But if he takes care of the football and he continues to make plays, I think the whole key in this thing, Michael, in this matchup, is Commanders forcing Jalen Hurts into a shootout.
Right.
What if that happens? What if it's a shootout and Jalen Hurts has to go out there and make a bunch of plays in the passing game? If that happens, boy, we got something going on here. I think that's what the Commanders have to do: force this game into a shootout.
Talking with Damien Woody here on the Michael K Show. Damien, I said this at the beginning of the show, and I want to get your take on it. I'm watching all of these games, and I understand the quarterbacks have to be protected. I get it. They're the game. I do understand that. But the slide is being used as a weapon by the quarterbacks. The late slide, it almost invites somebody to hit you in the head, and then they act as if they're going out of bounds, and then they will switch and go upfield for another 4 or 5 yards. I say, somebody who hasn't played the game, I say that once you cross the line of scrimmage, you should not be able to slide. You should not be able to protect yourself like that. You should become a player at that point. Now, if you don't cross the line of scrimmage, quarterbacks have to be protected at all costs. But if you use it against the other team, the late slide and things like that, and kind of a deke, I think that's wrong too, Damien.
Yeah, listen, I think the pendulum has swung too far as trying to protect the quarterbacks out here. I get it. The quarterback position is the most important position in sports, and you want to make sure those guys are protected. But, man, you're absolutely right. It's been weaponized. Even Troy Aikman said on the broadcast. Yep. Troy Aikman, a Hall of Fame quarterback, said on the broadcast, it's just gone too far. And so I think what we have to do, I think there has to be some type of replay. I think replay needs to be factored into some of these 15-yard personal foul, these roughing penalties and calls of sorts, because those 15-yard penalties are brutal. They literally factor in how teams are able to win these games. And I think that's something that the league needs to look into in the offseason.
Final thing, Jets have their second interview with Aaron Glenn, first in person. That'll be tomorrow. Is he the guy you think to be the Jet head coach?
I mean, in my opinion, I feel like he's the number one choice. I mean, this is a guy, he's a former great Jet, to be honest with you. He's worked his way. He started from the bottom, worked his way through all different categories within an organization. He's a former scout. He's a former, quality control guy, assistant coach, D coordinator. So he's seen all facets of the organization. He's actually done a really good job with that Lions defense, considering all the injuries that they've sustained on that side of the ball. It's unfortunate how they got eliminated, but for me, I think Aaron Glenn should be the number one choice of the Jets' head coaching job. And you think Vrabel was the right choice for your old team? Oh man, Michael. Come on. That everyone saw that one coming. And listen, that my former teammate. I love Mike Vrabel. He's so smart. I think he's a great coach. I think this was a slam dunk for the Patriots. Now it's just about assembling their staff, and they got a really, really promising quarterback in Drake May there. So, that's a really good fit for the New England Patriots organization. Good stuff, Damien. We thank you for joining us. I know it's crazy busy today. Always appreciate your time. Oh, thank you, Michael. You got it. That's the great Damien Woody. So some interesting stuff from him. Really impressed with Jaden Daniels. I don't know how you can't be. I mean, it's a rookie. This is a rookie, and you watch him, and when his defense is on the field, and they kept showing him on the bench, and he looked like so calm and collected. There's no nerves. There's no hurry up in him. There's no moment too big. I mean, how often does a rookie exhibit that kind of poise? The Commanders made a pick that stabilizes them for the next 12 years at quarterback. Think about what the Giants have to think now. You got an unbelievable front office with the Eagles. You got the Commanders with new ownership and a really smart GM who was the second choice to Joe Shane when they selected Shane. And the Cowboys are always going to be good. I don't think they're ever going to hit the skids. They're always going to be good. And then you got the Giants, who have to watch Saquon Barkley lead his team to the NFC Championship game and maybe the Super Bowl. That's your pick. That's your guy. That's your homegrown player. That's the second pick in the draft. You let get away to a division rival. What an awful, awful, awful NFC Championship game it will be for the Giants and the Maras and the Tishes to watch. They got to watch two teams from their division fight to go to the Super Bowl. One of them will. The other one will be the bridesmaid. But they'll be loaded for bear next year. Awful time to be a Giant right now. When we come back, we take your phone calls, 1-800-919-3776. Hey, maybe the offseason, but every season is Bigelow Tea season. You know I'm picky about what I drink, especially in days I have a show. One of the first things I do each day is reach for a mug full of Bigelow Tea. I love the different flavor options, and it's perfect for someone makes his living behind a microphone. Want to know what keeps me going? Look no further than my cup of Bigelow Tea next to me in the studio. So grab a mug full of your favorite Bigelow Tea and tea proudly. Bigelow Tea, the official hot tea of...
TaxAct knows filing your taxes can be complicated, and that's why we have live experts to help you with any questions. They can hold your hand through the process beginning to end. Metaphorically, of course. They can't actually hold your hand in person. I suppose you could hold your computer mouse while you chat with the expert about capital gains or whatever, which is sort of like holding hands. Sorry, point is, our tax experts can make filing easier. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
Harry Douglas here. Say goodbye to bulky, clunky shavers that clutter your bathroom. Not only do you get an incredible shave, Panasonic's Palm Razor has a sleek, elegant design that adds a touch of sophistication to your bathroom. It also conveniently charges with a USB cord. Visit shop.panasonic.com/sports to shop for the Palm Razor. Use promo code HARRY for 10% off exclusively for ESPN Radio listeners. That's shop.panasonic.com/sports, promo code HARRY.
This is a PSA, or public sock announcement. Experts have declared Bombas socks as the best way to warm up chilly feet. These pairs are super cushy, soft, and designed for maximum coziness. Plus, for every pair purchased, another pair will be donated, so someone in need of essential clothing can stay warm this winter. Go to bombas.com/ESPNpod and use code ESPNpod for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/ESPNpod and use code ESPNpod.
Thanks for listening to the Michael K. Show podcast.
He's been here a long time, and he's going to be here even longer.
Catch the show on demand whenever you want. Just subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts.
We got a lot to do, and a very short period of time. We're only on till 2:30 because of the Knicks pregame show. Knicks and the Hawks at 3 right here on 880 ESPN. Then after the Knicks game, coverage of the NCAA National Football Championship game between Notre Dame and Ohio State. Ohio State is a pretty big favorite. Notre Dame seems to be on a run. We'll see how that one goes. We'll talk about it a lot tomorrow, but we're on till 2:30 today. So let me give you a chance at 1-800-919-3776. So as we line up the phone calls, let me just tell you this about the Knicks real quickly. So I went to the game on Friday. And they really got slapped around by the Timberwolves. And the Knicks, they have a three-point problem. Now, they didn't shoot that poorly for most of the game from 3 points. But what usually happens is when they don't hit the three-pointer, they end up losing because they drag their feet on offense. But on Friday, they did hit the three-pointer for the most part, and they can't guard the three. And they got embarrassed by the Timberwolves from beyond the perimeter. I believe the Timberwolves shot over 55% from three-point land. You can't win games like that. The NBA is a three-point league. Now, we're going to see how they bounce back today against a team with length and young legs in the Atlanta Hawks. That's a team that kind of gives them problems every now and then. But it is something to consider. They did not look good against Minnesota. They just didn't. If you watch that game, you can't be pleased by the way they played. They've now won more games on the road than they have at Madison Square Garden. This is a week that they should be able to do some damage and get back on the right track. They play the Hawks, then they play the Nets and the Kings this week. Now, the Kings are not bad. Since they changed coaches, they've done the job. The Nets are in a death spiral. I mean, the tanking is in full effect. Full effect. So you got the Hawks, the Nets, and the Kings this week. Let's see how the Knicks bounce back. Let's go to Q in Uptown. Q.
Hey, how you doing, Michael K? Congratulations on the show.
Thanks, man.
Just wanted to tell you, long-time listener, and, appreciate everything, all the insight that you give with the Yankees and everything. I just wanted to say, I think that the NFL has to have the Kansas City Chiefs win, right? There's no other money ploy or any other direction that the NFL could take it where they don't make the maximum amount of money without Patrick Mahomes getting another ring. They could sell out for years to come, the Brady Connect, and everything that comes with it. And then plus the dynasty, the greatness, you know what I mean? It's just the best. It's the best ploy. So yeah,
let me ask you a question. You think that the NFL is gaming the system for the Chiefs to win?
Gaming the system is a little bit much, but as you know, in baseball, the authority is the umpires, the people who control the game. They might not could sway the game or predict the outcome, but they could sway it in that direction. And I think, not saying that the Chiefs have a easier path, no way, but it's known that the refs, they sway the game a little bit in their direction. But
Q, then what you're saying is that the NFL is having the refs sway in their effect. So, I mean, I don't believe that. I believe that the Chiefs just know how to win. They're exceptionally coached by Andy Reid and his staff, and they have an otherworldly quarterback. You just heard Damien Woody say that you could put this guy, Patrick Mahomes, in the same breath as Tom Brady. Tom Brady has 7 Super Bowls. The Chiefs are trying this year to do something that's never been done before in NFL history, win 3 in a row. I keep hearing this stuff about the Chiefs, and I've even heard it from my 10-year-old. Oh, the Chiefs have it. The refs are always in favor of the Chiefs. I mean, this is what the kids talk about in school at 10 years old. So I don't get it. I don't understand it. And the NFL doesn't have to have anybody win in order for them to do well. They don't need Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl in order for the Super Bowl to be the event of the weekend. They just don't need it. The event of the year. There's no television property that even comes close. They don't need the Chiefs. If it turns out that the Super Bowl is the Eagles against the Bills. You know what? Over 110, 115 million people will watch on Super Bowl Sunday. If it's the Bills against the Commanders, again, there are storylines. You don't need Taylor Swift sitting next to Caitlin Clark in order for the NFL to do well. Other sports have to worry about stuff like that. The NFL is bulletproof. It's bulletproof to this stuff. It's silly to say this. I think it cheapens what Patrick Mahomes is all about. It cheapens Andy Reid as a coach. The guy's won 300 games, including playoff wins. Do you really think it's because they want the Chiefs to win? What happened when the Chiefs were terrible before they got Patrick Mahomes? Before they got Andy Reid as the coach? Why would the NFL want a small market team like the Chiefs to win? Now, corporate America might want the Chiefs to win because every time you turn on your TV, there's Patrick Mahomes on a State Farm commercial. You might be getting sick of that. I think that what happens in the world is that we get sick of greatness because with greatness comes overexposure. Now, when something is overexposed, you're tired of watching it and you're tired of seeing it. You just are. You just are. I think it becomes too much for the senses. So you root against that person, and in the process of rooting against that person and that said team, then you make up the boogeyman. The boogeyman is the NFL greasing the palms of the officials so that they could get things done. I think officials in all sports, all speed sports like hockey, basketball, and football, it's unfair. They are not the athletes that the people on the field participating are. And they are going to make bad calls. And I love when people go, I don't understand why the NFL doesn't have full-time officials. What difference would that make? What difference would full-time officials make? Tell me, how would they get the calls right? These guys are moving so fast. The hits are so violent. And they have to sit there and have to watch it and delineate in a microsecond whether or not it's legal or not. But if they worked for the NFL and didn't do their office job Monday through Friday, they'd be better. I've never heard such nonsense. Convince me why. Oh, they'll study video. They can't study video when they get home from their office job? You tell me why the NFL has to pay officials full-time and how that would make them better. I don't know how. I keep hearing it. It's a knee-jerk reaction, but I want to know why. I want to know why that makes them better. You're never going to get athletes on the level of the people that are playing. So you're always going to be a step slow. You just are. That's all there is to it. Officials, I'm sorry, everybody, if I'm bursting your bubble. Referees are not in the bag. It's too easily found out. There'd be too many fingerprints on it. Everybody loves conspiracy theories. Let's see one proven. Let's see one conspiracy theory proven. That's all I'm asking. Tell me one thing that you can nail down and tell me this is definitely what happened. The frozen envelope in the NBA so the Knicks could get Patrick Ewing. Prove it. Prove it. Oh, the officials are told to call everything against Patrick Mahomes. Prove it. Give me the line of delineations all the way to the top of the NFL that somebody told somebody to tell the officials to give Patrick Mahomes the benefit of the doubt. You know why he gets the benefit of the doubt? Because he's the best quarterback in the world. That's why. Tom Brady got the benefit of the doubt. Michael Jordan got the benefit of the doubt. Wayne Gretzky got the benefit of the doubt. Connor McDavid gets the benefit of the doubt. Greatness is called differently, not because of anything that's being told, but because it's just human nature. You know that guy's the best at what he does, so you give him the benefit of the doubt. That's the way it works. All right, we only have a couple more minutes. 30 to be exact. You want to participate or not? You want to be the co-host or not? 1-800-919-3776. That's the number. We've got a Final Four in football. We've got other things going on. Anthony Santander is signed with the Blue Jays. So much stuff to dissect and talk about. We'll do all of it. We're only until 2:30, so let's partake, everybody. Again, the number 1-800-919-3776. It's the K Show right here on 880 ESPN.
Thanks for listening to the Michael K Show podcast.
You know what? Check yourself.
Hear more from Michael K weekdays at 1 on 880 ESPN.
Suck it up and like it.
the family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for this day.
This is the Michael K. Show podcast.
I gotta get more K.
Listen live weekdays at 1 on 880 ESPN, the ESPN New York app, and your smart speaker.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. I would like to take credit for a really smart thing, but I give credit where credit is due. So my producer, Ray Deanahan, just said in my ear about, the full-time officials that the NFL has to have full-time officials that'll be better at their job. Okay, full stop. MLB umpires, full-time officials. And people ever complain about them? Ever? Do you ever hear them complain that they get their calls wrong all the time? Full-time. Full-time. NBA officials, no other job, full-time officials. They ever get criticized? Yeah, I think so. All the time. NHL officials, full-time. They ever get criticized? Yeah, all the time. So what is the nonsense that we need the NFL to have full-time officials that'll be better? How? How would they be better? It doesn't work in the other sports. These are games that are incredibly hard to officiate. The players are faster than you. The collisions are violent. You're always going to get it wrong. At some point, they get it right most of the time, but because of the incredible television angles we have now, we expose every time they get it wrong. All the things that they have to legislate, whether or not a guy slid on time, whether or not they hit him in the head or just below it's nonsense. Full-time job, they'll be better. You're full of it. You're just looking for something to hang on the rim about to make them better. We'd still criticize them. They'd still make mistakes. I told you how to get rid of one of the problems. Stop with the slide. The slide causes it all the time. And every time, I'm not going to blame the defense all the time. I'm just not. Every time you blame the defensive guy, well, he went right at his head. Well, he's going right at his legs. He's going right at his waist. Picture that. Everything's happening so fast. On instant replay, it looks slow. Everything is happening fast in real time. So you're trying to make the tackle the right way. You're tackling somebody at the waist or the chest. And all of a sudden, a late slide, that area becomes the head. The quarterbacks weaponize the rules in their favor in order to get more penalties. That's why you take away the slide. Once you cross the line of scrimmage, you know what? You are a football player. You're not a precious jewel. Now, you don't cross the line of scrimmage, you have to protect the quarterback. You just do. They make too much money. They're too important to the success of the team. But if they're going to go and cross the line of scrimmage, then you know what? All the rules are over. All the rules are over. Sorry. Awful. Awful. It happens all the time. And all the time the defensive player gets blamed. All the time. Oh, he's headhunting. No, he's not. Now, sometimes they are. Not everybody in the world is good. But sometimes they're not. Sometimes it's physically impossible to make the tackle the way you want to make the tackle if a guy goes into a late slide. And then the guys that fake the late slide, and then they keep going for 4 or 5 more yards, and you blame the defensive player? No, not cool. Let's go to Zach in Massachusetts. Zach.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, Zach?
Not bad. I actually, while listening to your rant, I tend to agree with a lot of what you're saying. The only thing I think I would still argue is you mentioned those 3 other sports all have full-time referees. When was the last time any team in one of those sports had been theorized that they were being helped by the refs? I mean, we've had 2 teams in the last 20 years in the NFL with the Chiefs and the Patriots. It just seems more common in the NFL that it's a conversation, in my opinion.
Yeah, but okay. So let's say that's true, Zach, and I don't know if it is, but if that's a perception, that's cool. How does giving the officials a full-time job eliminate the fact that the great teams are legislated differently?
It doesn't. You're 100% right. I think the way I justify it, and originally why I called, which you kind of already debunked, was, and we can agree on, I think, that these officials, like any other job, are at the top 1% of their profession, correct?
Yep.
Is there any other profession in the world where you're at the top 1%, but you're expected to go home from your 9 to 5 and still work on that job with without any more compensation? There isn't.
But Zach, I would agree with you if I felt that it would make a difference. I just don't think it makes a difference. So at the end of the day on Sunday, you're finished with your NFL job. Let's say you do the 1 o'clock game. You're finished at 4:30, you get to the airport at 7, you fly home, you go to work on Monday. How? How does that impact the job you do? And again, all the sports that have full-time officials, all we do is criticize them. Guy can't call a strike. Angel Hernandez is terrible. Full-time job. Oh, they're flopping in the NBA. How do you not call that a foul? How's that not a travel? Full-time job. You're looking for these people that are the arbiters, in a sense, of what's happening on the field to be as physically skilled and mentally sharp as the less than 1%, the greatest of the great that make the pros. It's impossible. It can't be. It can't be. You know, there was an official in the NBA that was part of the U.S. Olympic team when Bobby Knight was the coach, and he was a member of the then New Jersey Nets, Leon Wood. He's the best of the best, right? I mean, he's not Michael Jordan, but he was on the U.S. Olympic team with Bobby Knight. And he became a full-time NBA official. He got criticized all the time. And that is a guy, that was an elite athlete. I just don't think it makes a difference.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous 2-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes per detail.
Bombas makes the most comfortable socks, underwear, and T-shirts.
Warning, Bombas are so absurdly comfortable you may throw out all your other clothes.
Sorry, do we legally have to say that?
No, this is just how I talk, and I really love my Bombas.
They do feel that good. And they do good, too. One item purchased equals one item donated.
To feel good and do good, go to bombas.com/ESPNpod and use code ESPNpod for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/ESPNpod and use code ESPNpod at checkout.
Harry Douglas here. Say goodbye to bulky, clunky shavers that clutter your bathroom. Not only do you get an incredible shave, Panasonic's Palm Razor has a sleek, elegant design that adds a touch of sophistication to your bathroom. It also conveniently charges with a USB cord. Visit shop.panasonic.com/sports to shop for the Palm Razor. Use promo code HARRY for 10% off exclusively for ESPN radio listeners. That's shop.panasonic.com/sports, promo code HARRY.
Thanks for listening to the Michael K. Show podcast.
He's been here a long time, and he's going to be here even longer.
Catch the show on demand whenever you want. Just subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's go to Mike in New Jersey. Mikey.
Hey, how are you? Hope you're well. I think Manfred and baseball, they have issues coming that you've spoken on very well with the Dodgers spending, floor, whatever. I think there's another one coming for Manfred and baseball, and it's what's going on with the A's. I'm a Mets fan. Right. And when I saw Severino sign with the A's, I was shocked like everybody because they don't spend money. I look more into it, Michael. The only reason they have to spend money, they also re-signed Brent Rooker, is because if they don't hit a certain limit, they are going to have a grievance against the Players Association.
Right.
If you go further into this, Michael, a lot of people in Las Vegas, real estate people, if you look up a guy, Scott Robin on Twitter, he's adamant that the A's are not going to Vegas and that the whole plan is almost like what you said with the Japanese player. Excuse me, I'm forgetting his name. It just went to the drive. It's just a sham, show people. A lot of people on the inside are saying it's not happening with this ownership.
Well, where do the A's end up then? Where do they end up, Mike?
Could be Vegas with new ownership, but this could possibly open the door. I believe they're going to stay in Sacramento.
I don't think they could stay, Mike, in Sacramento at that ballpark. It's too small. The heat is extreme in the summer. It's like over 105 degrees at times. So I don't think that's the ultimate answer. And the fact that they spent on Severino, the fact that they extended Rooker and they signed others, they had to reach a certain threshold because they're receiving help from other teams, in revenue sharing. And they weren't going to be able to do that unless they met a certain threshold because the owners didn't want them just taking the money and pocketing it, so they had to spend it. So it turned out that guys like Severino and Rooker made out with it. It was a positive for them. But I don't know if the Fisher family is going to end up in Las Vegas or not. But the fact that they actually chose Las Vegas, that hurts Major League Baseball because Las Vegas was an expansion site. So when you move an already existing team to an expansion site, you've eliminated one of the cities that's bidding for a team. Now, eventually, Major League Baseball is going to expand 2 more teams. And each of those teams is going to have to spend $2 billion in order to get that team. So that's $4 billion that will be split amongst the other 30 owners. Now, once you eliminate a city like Vegas, which already the NFL has expanded into, or at least moved into, the NHL, the NBA is going to. LeBron wants a team there. I don't think they're going to end up in Sacramento. That is not a big enough city for Major League Baseball to take a team out of the Bay Area and move to Sacramento. Makes no sense. Nick in Holtsville. Nick. Hey, Nick. Nicholas.
Yes.
What's up, baby?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Not too bad.
What do you got?
All right. Did you find it curious at all that Kansas City took that safety at the end of the game?
It certainly is curious because of the line, Nick. It is. But it probably makes sense if you're the team. They're up by 8. They take the safety. They go to 6, and then they could actually kick off from the, from the 20. I think the only reason that it's even questioned is because it affected the line. That's it. So with the proliferation of betting in the United States and with the apps and all that stuff, everything like this is scrutinized. Is it the wrong play for Andy Reid? Probably not. If he punts the ball there and the punt is blocked, and then all of a sudden you run it in, it has a whole completely different feel. Although they really weren't in danger and they were going to cover if they didn't take that 2 points, but Andy Reid decided, I don't care about the spread. That's not my problem. That's why the little secret is you got to really have brass stones to bet because stuff like this rips your heart out. The missed extra points by the Eagles, that cost everybody. That gave 6.5. So they end up winning by 6. They should have won by 8. I mean, you can make these little things all the time and find out something that looks suspicious. But once we all got into bed with gambling sites, that it's all fair game to question. All fair game.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
TaxAct knows filing your taxes can be complicated, and that's why we have live experts to help you with any questions. They can hold your hand through the process beginning to end. Metaphorically, of course. I mean, they can't actually hold your hand in person. I suppose you could hold your computer mouse while you chat with the expert about capital gains or whatever, which is sort of like holding hands. Sorry, point is, our tax experts can make filing easier. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
So it's a new year, 2025, and you're thinking, how am I going to make this year different? How am I going to build something for myself? The best time to start your new business is right now, and Shopify is how you're going to make it happen. Shopify makes it simple to create your brand, open for business, and get your first sale. Get your store up and running easily with thousands of customizable templates. No coding or design skills required. All you need to do is drag and drop. Their powerful social media tools let you connect all your channels and create shoppable posts and help you sell everywhere people scroll. Shopify makes it easy to manage your growing business. They help with the details like shipping, taxes, and payments from one single dashboard, allowing you to focus on the important stuff, like growing your business. What happens if you don't act now? Will you regret it? What if someone beats you to the idea? Don't kick yourself when you hear this again in a year because you didn't do anything now. With Shopify, your first sale is closer than you think. Established in 2025 has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/network, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/network to start selling with Shopify today. Shopify.com/network.
Thanks for listening to the Michael K. Show podcast.
He's been here a long time, and he's going to be here even longer.
Catch the show on demand whenever you want. Just subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts.
Calvin in Washington Heights. Calvin.
Hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Michael. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. I just quickly wanted to make a couple of points with baseball. Anthony Santander just signed with Toronto. They're trying to convince Vladdy to re-sign. Vladdy, in a podcast that I heard him live, he was well-spoken. He said that he's given the opportunity to Toronto to re-sign, but only till spring training. When he reports to spring training, there is no more discussion of an extension, period. He's going to be focused on the season, and that's it. And I honestly think that now they're not going to trade him just because Anthony Santander is signing. So if they're going to trade him, it'll be in the middle of the season and the trade deadline in July, which makes more sense. Honestly, I truly believe that the Mets should get Vladdy Guerrero because he just fits better in as a first baseman. In my opinion, he is clearly the second best first baseman in the game behind Freddie Freeman, and Freddie Freeman is best years probably has topped out, but he's still got a good couple of more years left. Vladdy behind Soto and Lindor, and that's a great offensive lineup that can end up for the New York team. And if you don't bring Vladdy into the Mets, or Alonso doesn't re-sign with the Mets, you're going to have a Soto that's going to give you a production of what he did in the Nationals in 2021. That he was robbed for MVP. They gave it to Bryce Harper that year when both players didn't make it to the didn't make it to the postseason. That's the type of season that he's going to give you. He's going to give you 30 home runs, a little bit less power, but he's
going to walk 200 times. Listen, I get it. Does Guerrero fit with the Mets? Yes, he does. But I will say this about Toronto. Before they got Santander to take the money, no one's taking their money. The Hoffman, the reliever, did. Minor signing to me. But they were in, I wrote it down. They were in on Soto. I was told by somebody really responsible that they were willing to pay more than the Mets. They got turned down. They were the finalists with the Dodgers and the Padres for Sasaki. Gone. They were one of the people I wanted, Tanner Scott. Gone. They were in on the bidding on Corbin Burns. Gone. They can't get anybody. So they finally got Santander to take their money. Okay, good. Full stop. You know what Vlad Guerrero wants. He's a homegrown player. He's a Canadian citizen because he was born in Canada when his father, Vlad Guerrero Sr., a Hall of Famer, played for the Expos. He loves playing there. You know the price of doing business now has skyrocketed because of Soto. And when Guerrero becomes a free agent, if you know that the Mets are actually in on him and really want him, then they're going to outbid you anyway. They just are. We saw that with Soto. Cohen would not be outbid for Soto, no matter how ridiculous it got. And it got to the point that the Yankees and the Mets and the Blue Jays were all at ridiculous levels that at one point they will regret that contract. They just will. The Yankees were at that level, the Blue Jays were at that level, and the Mets won at that level. You can't tell me that 12 years down the line, you're going to be thrilled with that contract. But it still was the thing to do. Now, the Blue Jays, armed with this information, that Cohen has kind of the money that doesn't matter to him. It's play money. It's monopoly money for him. So if Vladimir Guerrero wants $400 million for 10 years, give it to him. Give it to him. Andrew Friedman, the guy who runs the Dodgers, is famous for a quote that rings so true right now in this era in Major League Baseball. If you're going to be responsible and you're going to be rational, you're going to finish third in every pursuit of every great player. You can't be rational. And if you are, you'll lose that player. The Yankees rationally knew it was crazy to offer Soto all that money, but they wanted him. And they still lost him. So if Guerrero wants that money, you either sign him now, or you're going to lose him in a trade, or you're going to lose him at the end of the year. And what a message that sends to your fan base. Think about it. You're going to lose him. Give him the money he wants. Swallow hard and give him the money he wants. This is a homegrown player, and I don't believe he's a perfect player. I don't. One other thing about Santander signing with the Blue Jays. I think the chairs are going away for Pete Alonso. Because Santander, in his perfect iteration on the field, is a DH. He's not a good outfielder. He's not a good first baseman. I guess you could play him in the outfield for a couple of years, but if you sign Pete Alonso for 3 years, you're going to move Guerrero over to third. Pete Alonso is going to play first. He's not going to be a DH. So I wonder if that's eliminating that spot for Pete Alonso to land. And if it's not, well, then what the Blue Jays are building is a team that doesn't have great defense. One more advice. They don't ask me, but for the Rogers family, I'm going to help you out. Just give Guerrero whatever he wants, because you're going to end up being a loser in this. Every trade that you make, where you get all these great players back, very infrequently it works. I think it worked for the Padres in the trade with the Yankees, because King became an outstanding starter, which the Yankees knew. Thorpe, one of the top minor league pitchers, they turned around for Dylan Cease. So that, and Higashioka had a really good year and then signed a 2-year contract with the Texas Rangers. All of that stuff worked for the Padres. Most of the time, when you trade a lot of prospects for a player, it was worth it. Was it worth it when the Dodgers traded those players to the Red Sox for Mookie Betts? Sure was. Sure was. And it was worth it for the Yankees, even though they were good prospects, and it worked out for the Padres. The Yankees would make that deal 100 times out of 100 times to get Soto for that 1 year. But Guerrero wants to sign with you, and he wants an outrageous amount of money. I get it. So what are you doing? Just give him the money. Or know you're going to lose him for a bunch of minor league players. If you trade him to the Mets, who are you getting? That's going to move the needle so much. Who? Mauricio? Beatty? And I'm just throwing names out there. Acuna, is that worth Vlad Guerrero? Just give him the money. Charlie in New London. Charlie.
Hey, Michael, I just wanted to talk about the New York Jets really fast, if that's okay.
Sure.
First off, really love the show. Really love all you guys. But
Thank you.
Quickly, my dad was showing me videos of the Jets just a couple days ago, and I've seen like the excitement about the team in his eyes go away. And I could feel that starting like with this off season for me as just like a 20-year-old. I could start to feel it. What do you think they need to do to just move the team in at least any type of positive direction at all?
Well, the funny thing, Charlie, is this. If you look at their roster, they've got good players. They've got players that you can win with. Is it a team, obviously, that's a little bit short? Yeah, a lot of teams are a little bit short. Remember, the Commanders were short, too. You put in the right culture. You bring in the right coach. The coach is the most important thing. And you have to have the smart GM as well. You have to. You have to. But the bottom line is this. You've got to look at it, and you've got to say, If we bring in the right coach, we could win 9 games, 10 games next year. So I wouldn't look at the Jets and say that they're a team that has no chance. They do have a chance. They were not coached this year. Robert Saleh, I think, is a decent coach. They were 2-3 and playing for first place against the Bills in Week 6. And then their genius owner fired him and brought in Jeff Ulbrich. Jeff Ulbrich just became the defensive coordinator in Atlanta. Jeff Ulbrich was not a good head coach. He wasn't a coach. You could see the way they played. They weren't coached. So when the Jets sit back this weekend, see the Eagles and the Commanders and the Chiefs and the Bills playing for the right to go to the Super Bowl, they don't have to look at it and say, we are at rock bottom. No, they've got good players. They've got good players at important positions. The Giants, when we go into this weekend, they have to feel lost. Because worst comes to worst, the Jets actually have Aaron Rodgers if they want to keep him. The Giants don't have a quarterback. Where's the skill position level other than Malik Neighbors? The Jets are not as bad awesome as you think. The Knicks and the Hawks coming up, so we'll have the Knicks against the Hawks and then the pregame show in minutes, and then we'll be back again tomorrow for a full show at 1 o'clock. A lot of stuff to do. We'll talk to a lot of you, have some great guests as well. Hey, maybe the off season, but every season is Bigelow tea season. You know I'm picky about what I drink, especially on days I have a show. One of the first things I do each day is reach for a mug full of Bigelow tea. I love the different flavor options. It's perfect for someone makes his living behind a microphone. Want to know what keeps me going? Look no further than my cup of Bigelow tea next to me in the studio. So grab a mug full of your favorite Bigelow tea and tea proudly. Bigelow tea, the official hot tea of the New York Yankees.
Thanks for listening to the Michael K. Show podcast.
You know what? Check yourself.
Hear more from Michael K. weekdays at 1 on 880 ESPN. Suck it up and like it. The ESPN New York app and your smart speakers.
Welcome to the Chevy Lightning Round. Guess the clues to win. First team, you're up.
Powerful, commanding, unstoppable.
Silverado.
Adventurous, fun, techie.
Trailblazer.
Stylish, nimble.
Trax.
Innovative, electric.
Blazer EV. Lightning Round champions. You've guessed all the right Chevy clues.
Wherever the year takes you, explore it together.